India today runs on silicon, data, and hard logic. Look around any crowded street, and you'll see a culture moving at internet speed. But step away from the brightly lit intersections, and you'll find an entirely different ecosystem operating right beneath the surface, an ancient landscape of supernatural laws that stubbornly refuse to fade away. Friction occurs when 21st century skepticism ignores these older, darker boundaries. What we dismiss as urban legends are often strict enforcement mechanisms designed to penalize those who treat these ancient warnings as mere superstition. Navigating this landscape requires understanding an unwritten rulebook. To see how these laws are applied, we have to look at the consequences for those who broke them. At the Ganga Barrage in Kanpur, the curfew is absolute. While the steps are crowded during the day, local tradition marks 11:15 p.m. as the point where the living must depart. Recently, a group of teenagers on a road trip decided to test that deadline, ignoring a grandmother's specific warning about the time. Their late-night drive led them into a desolate stretch occupied by entities that shouldn't exist: a street vendor with solid white eyes serving metallic-tasting water, and hitchhikers whose feet pointed completely backward. Leaving the barrage didn't end the encounter. After a violent crash into a roadside tree, the haunting followed them hundreds of miles home to Odisha, culminating in a series of chilling phone calls that synchronized perfectly with that 11:15 p.m. threshold. In the logic of these places, space is shared property. While the living hold the lease during the day, the dead reclaim the territory at night, treating any late-night visitor as a hostile intruder. Public spaces hold even deeper risks at the Choraha, or crossroads. These intersections serve as a dumping ground for spiritual ailments and dark energy through specific ritual objects. This is the Nimbu Mirchi. While it often acts as a protective charm for shops, in the middle of a dark road, it frequently houses a transferred curse, a physical vessel for bad luck or malevolent intent. A young woman named Priyanshi spotted one of these offerings while walking home. Rather than keeping her distance, she mocked the ritual and deliberately kicked the lemon across the street. By morning, she was consuming live insects and speaking in multiple distorted voices. That single act of disrespect functioned as an invitation, allowing a swarm of wandering spirits to occupy her body. Reversing the possession required a massive Mahayagya. For 5 hours, 51 practitioners performed a coordinated fire ritual to physically and spiritually purge the entities from her system. These practitioners, known as agoris, operate on the fringes of the material world. They specialize in managing the exact type of aggressive spiritual fallout that follows a violation of occult etiquette. These entities view the mockery of a ritual totem as a waiver of protection. For the person involved, ignorance of the rule is no defense against the possession that follows. The most absolute law involves the intent of the observer. Swastik, a rationalist YouTuber, attempted to livestream a 3 a.m. challenge at a burned-down orphanage, filming himself in the dark to prove that hauntings were merely psychological tricks. The orphanage responded with more than just atmosphere. Motion sensors triggered simultaneously in empty hallways, while the air temperature dropped so sharply that Swastik's breath began to cloud the camera lens. The breaking point came through his own live chat. Viewers began posting news reports of a fatal highway accident involving Swastik's car that had occurred hours earlier, before the stream even began. The realization dawned as his hands began to dissolve into the fog. Swastik had arrived to hunt a spirit, only to discover he had become the very haunting he intended to disprove. His absolute certainty in his own logic had backfired. By entering a haunted space to mock its history, he ensured that his own story would end exactly where the legends began. Every victim in these stories shared a specific trait. They believed their modern perspective shielded them from ancient consequences. Even in a world of high-speed data and urban sprawl, these legends enforce a baseline of humility. They remind a modern culture that some boundaries are not meant to be tested. Arrogance remains the primary catalyst for these encounters. The danger peaks at the exact moment belief vanishes, because these forces do not require your permission to exist. They only